you open their eyes in a way. They were like, they saw it all differently. They see the whole spirituality from completely different perspective by reading your book, especially the first one, the 10,000 Things, because it was really spot on. And they were like, oh my God, like it just completely changed the perception. It was disappointing in a good way, Like they were like, oh, so this is what it is, isn't it? There's nothing else. Like they've heard it more than once, but it didn't hit them, you know? So when they read your book, and it just completely changed. Yeah, although I kept telling them this, but it didn't go through, I think. But yeah, this is really good. As you said before, some people might hear this, and if they're really open-hearted, you know, they'll hear it. But also I've seen people seeing really genuine teachers, like my teacher was truly genuine, you know, and direct, and was pointing people back to themselves. But yeah, it was sad to see. I was thinking today to myself, like listening to your book again, it came back to me that yeah, I met people through these meetings, and some of them today, they're still on the chase, so no one can do it for them if they're not open to hear what's been said. You know, they expect, as you said before, that someone else, you know, gives it to, you know, to them. The way UG said it when Ramana said, well, can you take it? You know, can you take it? You know, even that is like, you know, you can't give it to anyone. So you have to hear it from the heart, I presume, rather than through your mind. That was one of my actually little things also. I thought, if you really listen through your heart, and if the wish is there, like if it's, you know, to really hear this, or sometimes we do get stuck through our illnesses and through psychological suffering, and we have no choice. It's like make it or break it in a way. So, yeah, letting go maybe happens by itself.
Yeah, well, I don't think anyone ever really awakens without a great deal of suffering. The suffering is the best teacher we've got, because if you suffer deeply enough, you'll realize that you cannot escape from that, and that life has suffering, and that there is not going to be this salvation where one never suffers again. I agree with you that there are some teachers who are genuine and can help people, but most of them, in my view, don't help. They confuse the issue, because they will sit there talking about how great they feel now that they have awakened. You see, it's all beautiful now. And that's just not my experience. Not at all. It's not all beautiful. There's boredom, there's pain, there's worry, there's fear, and all of these things that are denied by the transcendental teachers. And the students accept that because, just like some Christian who wants to be in heaven with Jesus, they want to be enlightened, imagining that once I'm enlightened, all of this ordinary suffering will just go away. And that's not the situation. That's a misunderstanding. And it's a misunderstanding that cuts through all the religions. Even Buddhism, which is probably the best of all of the religious philosophical traditions, one of the best. A lot of people imagine that the Buddha had attained a state in which he was not suffering anymore. There was no more suffering. There's an end to suffering, as it says. That's the second noble truth. But that's a misunderstanding. Because when he was asked by his sidekick, Subhuti, this is from the Diamond Sutra, the Buddha was asked, "O Great One, When you attained unexcelled perfect enlightenment, what did you attain? And the Buddha, according to this sutra, said, O Subhuti, when I attained unexcelled perfect enlightenment, I attained absolutely nothing. That's why it is called unexcelled perfect enlightenment. So the message there is there's nothing to attain. You attain absolutely nothing. You're in this moment, and you always will be. And as soon as that is accepted, then the suffering changes into life itself instead of this horrible disease from which I must escape. As long as we're escaping, we're going to find ways of escapism. It could be religion, it could be sex, it could be overeating, it could be drugs, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. When you're trying to escape, you're not here. And what I'm saying is, it's a very simple message. When you're willing to be here and not elsewhere, then you are fully alive. And I recommend trying to be fully alive and see what it's like. You might like it. You might like it. You see, John Troy, you mentioned, he was down here for the gathering in 2019. He and I had so much fun together. I can't tell you how wonderful it is to be with another person who's just willing to be here. No big deal, nothing to prove, nothing to argue about, not trying to improve anything, just enjoying this moment and the fact of being alive, that we are this aliveness. If you can do that with another person, it's just marvelous. I mean, that's why Katanya, my wife, and I have been so happy together, because we can just sit there together, not trying to do anything. Just sit in a couple of chairs, looking out at the trees and listening to the birds, and it's just marvelous. And there's nowhere to get it. We both know that one of us will die before the other, unless we're in some accident or whatever, and the other one will be left alone and grieving. But in this moment, we aren't. In this moment, which is all one ever has, we can celebrate. Even if one is in pain or sad, then you can celebrate that part of humanity, that part of being alive. To me, Sabine, this is so clear, and it's so easy, and it's so obvious. And that's what I've tried to make clear in my books. And some people have picked up on it. I hear from them, and it's great. I'm so glad that I had that to say.